around her little neck and handed it to one of the waiting men. Each of the three tried and failed to unbend it. Dainty Amy Silborne was at the moment the world's best strongwoman, and, according to Sissy Mapes, the best specialty act in the business. No hairy, hulking giant of a woman, she was as feminine and petite as any society lady in Mayfair. In a burgundy gown adorned with yellow feathers, Dainty Amy looked stunning on stage. Her ladylike appearance made her feats of strength even more spectacular. From a shelf below the tabletop, she produced a coil of thick hemp rope and challenged the four men to a tug-of-war, which she won handily. As they stewed in embarrassment on stage, Amy picked up a Sears Roebuck catalogue and tore it in half. It was a brilliant act, thought Layton, made better by asking not plants, but actual volunteers from the audience to come up. The men provided context for Amy's strength. She took her bows and the audience cheered wildly. Mangogo let out a shrill call that must have been a pygmy cheer of admiration. Then he went back to his fish and chips. He always drowned them in HP sauce, a new condiment Layton thought would never catch on, but the performer loved it. Layton often accompanied Mangogo to the fish and chip shop and tried to get him to use vinegar, but he refused, saying it smelled like leopard piss. The two had developed a strange bond. Mangogo was no ignorant savage, as most had expected, but an intelligent fellow with a great talent for learning English. The stagehands liked him and got a big laugh teaching him obscene words. Layton taught him more useful phrases like, "A pleasure to meet you, sir." In the afternoons before the show, performers and crew often took Mangogo to the Prince Regent, their favourite pub. They introduced him to Guinness, which he downed in great quantities to no ill effect. In fact, he could drink any stagehand under the table. Mangogo said that ginwana, a drink from fermented jungle leaves, was much stronger than any British drink. "Smashing!" Mangogo exclaimed now as Amy came off the stage. Layton smiled and picked a chip out of Mangogo's packet. Fish and chips came wrapped in old newspaper, which he liked. The printer's ink added to the flavour. "Make good." Mangogo pointed at Amy in the wings, the word escaping him. "Wife?" Layton volunteered. "Strong. Do much. Zocancho. Work. Jolly good. Much work. Do you have a wife?" Mangogo raised his hand, showing 4 fingers. "4? 4, jolly good for Mangogo. Do much work." Layton burst out laughing and slapped the little man on the back, and Mangogo happily stamped his spear on the stage boards. Mangogo was actually the first black man Layton had ever known. There'd been no blacks in Dorset and none in British high society, although the thought of the latter amused him greatly. Tomorrow afternoon he planned to take Mangogo to lunch at Pearson's, Nottingham's poshest restaurant. How astounded those upper-crust patrons would be to see him dining alongside them. But nobody would ask him to leave. His spear, which he took everywhere, made sure of that. The other pygmies were still scared and unsure of their new environment. They kept to themselves in their little flat in the centre of Nottingham, and never ventured out. In contrast, Mangogo was preternaturally sociable and outgoing, and he was far more interesting than any of Layton's aristocratic clients had been. He told Layton many exciting stories of the jungle, dealing with leopards, giant poisonous insects, pythons, and bull elephants. He was so short and slight of build, but his courage seemed inverse to his physical stature. Mangogo was born a brave fellow, thought Layton. Mangogo offered him a chip, not slathered in HP sauce, and waved goodbye. He was on after the next act. "Remember, tomorrow afternoon lunch at Pearson's," Layton called after him. "Steak and kidney pie," Mangogo said, rubbing his little brown belly under the burnt orange-coloured blanket he always wore. "I'll make a proper Englishman out of you yet, you'll see." The act on stage was Eddington and Freddington, the 2 posh nitwit female impersonators. The English country manor drawing-room backcloth Layton had designed fit the act perfectly, and in no time he was choking with laughter, even though he'd seen the act many times. Cyril and Neville were hilarious, and audiences loved them. The rest of the night stretched pleasantly ahead of him. After the second show, he and Sissy would go to the Prince Regent with Cyril and Neville and stay until last call, listening to the duo's stories.